So let's start with the tasks for today. TFT is short for task for today. This is an initiative by Sociology Tasks, a sister channel of Decipher Sociology, and here we try to break down the sociology journey into different tasks, or you can say it is like a to-do list. So when you know that yes, I have this task that I need to perform today, then you add it to your to-do list and then you try to attempt the task, complete the task, and in this way, one task at a time, you complete your sociology syllabus, right? This is a part of the mentorship program targeting 2027, and today we are discussing the first TFT or task for today. In this, we will be discussing the approach for 2 questions. Usually we try to allot 2 questions for every task, and one is of 10 marks and the other is of 20 marks. So we are starting with paper 1, topic 1, sociology the discipline, and this particular task has been taken from first topic. So this question is of 10 marks and the question says that Europe was the first and the only place where modernity emerged. This is a statement and you need to critically analyze it. Now whenever you see this word, okay, in the UPSC exam, whenever you see this word only, be sure that there can be 2 sides or there can be an alternative argument whenever you see absolute words like only. So because the question asks about modernity, so here the main focus is on modernity, and that is why your introduction should be about modernity. You can give the definition or a small background of what you understand about modernity. Because it is 10 marks, few lines will be sufficient, and then you need to tackle the first part. First part says that Europe was the first place where modernity emerged. So yes, we say that yes, this is the statement, or this is the part that I agree with, the first place, right? And then we give supporting arguments for this particular part, that is, why was Europe considered the first place where modernity emerged? So firstly, we are writing about modernity and then we show how these features appeared in Europe and under what circumstances modernity emerged. There are many features, there are many events like Enlightenment, Renaissance, Scientific Revolution, Industrial Revolution. All these point to modernity of Europe or the process of modernization of Europe. So this would be the starting point of our body, but then we come to the next part which says that it is the only place. Now this is something that we do not agree with, and here we are going to give the examples of other civilizations like Asian civilizations where modernity emerged or there were certain evidences of modernity. So, this would mainly deal with non-European or non-Western areas, non-Western civilizations, and we will also talk about hybrid modernities or multiple modernities, right. We cannot say that Europe was the only place where modernity emerged. There are other types of modernities also. So, this would be your second paragraph. Now, in this question, because it has specifically been asked that you have to critically examine, therefore, we need to bring in critical perspectives also. So, when we are saying critical perspectives, it means that we are trying to critique the statement, because this statement assumes that Europe was the only place. Now, when we say Europe was the only place, it means we are talking about Eurocentrism. Okay. So, here we are considering that Europe was the only place. So, this would require some critiques. Here what you can do is you can give statements by thinkers, or you can give examples here. So, critique will include thinkers as well as examples. Now, what about today? Okay, what about modernity today? So, here we can talk about the modernity which exists across different nations and across international arena, because now, because of globalization, because of interconnectedness of the whole world, we cannot say that modernity is a phenomenon which is constrained or restricted to one particular area, because any change which takes place in one part of the world rapidly travels to the other part. So, this is the reality today. So, the reality plus the conclusion you can write together, and in the conclusion you simply need to once again emphasize your point that yes, Europe was the first place where modernity or signs of modernity were seen, but when we are seeing that it was the only place, then it means that we are taking a Eurocentric view or perspective from the Europeans, which would be wrong, right. And so, this concept of modernity will be tackled in this particular question. You can write thinkers, you can write examples, there is no restriction to that. Try to remember easy thinkers or easy concepts, write in simple language, simple sentences. At the same time, you may refer to Dictionary of Sociology for any kind of definition that you require of any concept. For example, here it is modernity. So, this takes care of the first question. The second question says that sociology is the product of European Enlightenment and Renaissance. So, this is of 20 marks, 3 pages you are going to get. So, 250 words you have to write. Now, here first of all you need to identify the main concept around which this question revolves. So, here the question revolves around sociology. It is about sociology. So, you will give a short background of sociology, what is sociology, and you can also give a small background about the emergence. Okay. Now, when you are talking about the emergence, then continuing the debate, first of all you will take this statement, the product of European Enlightenment and Renaissance, as correct, okay, and then you will justify. So, your points will be justifying this particular statement, what was the factors which were in favor of this statement. For example, here we are talking about Renaissance, then humanism, right, then we are talking about enlightenment, which means reason, then scientific revolution, and how all of these, the advent of natural sciences, scientific method, experimentation, everything, it culminated in the emergence of sociology. Why the earlier thinkers now felt that yes, they could now study society, okay, and how they borrowed from the methods of natural sciences. So, this would take care of the first part. Now, because it is critically examined, so the next part would be why it is wrong or what are the limitations of this particular claim. So, again here we are talking about the European aspect, right. We are ignoring the non-European influences in the emergence of sociology. So, here we can talk about Asian thinkers, non-Western contributions, and how this is an international phenomena, and that is why restricting this particular emergence of sociology to one section of the universe, of the world, would be incorrect, right. So, this is how you will be writing or giving a counterpoint to this statement. And once again, critical perspectives, here you can write about thinkers, examples, because when we say that sociology is a product of enlightenment and renaissance, we are mainly talking about the intellectual aspect, right. And when we are talking about the intellectual aspect, and if we say it is only restricted to Europe, that means it is again a Eurocentric view. So, this would be incorrect. And today, as the discipline of sociology is growing, then what are the influences which is helping it grow, right? What influences are there? So, here you can talk about the non-Western phenomena, you can talk about the Indianization of sociology, and how we are bringing in new methods to study Indian society. We are not relying on the Western theories or perspectives, for example, Indology. So, these thinkers you can bring in, and finally, you can conclude by once again emphasizing your point of view that saying that enlightenment and renaissance, they were the only forces or they were responsible for the emergence of sociology would be wrong. Yes, they were responsible for the starting, or the seed was sowed during renaissance and enlightenment, these two periods. But we cannot say that sociology is simply a product of Europe. This would be wrong, because it is an ever growing, ever expanding discipline, and today also it is growing, and we have many perspectives like the subaltern perspective, Indological perspective. These are the contributions of Indian thinkers. So, sociology is a product of Western as well as non-Western, or you can say European and non-European influences. So, this is how your answer will be. Okay, so keep writing. That is the only key to improving your thinking and improving your answer writing. And wherever you have doubts, you can ask us in the doubt box. Okay, in the comment box, you can put your queries or telegram us at Deciphering Sociology. All the best.